I'm Tim Smith with Gettysburg History, and welcome to an episode of Gettysburg ABCs. And today, we're going to talk about the letter C. And remember, we choose a person, place, and thing. So today, for letter C, I've chosen Henry Culp, Cemetery Hill, and Casualties. So, Henry Culp, at the time of the Civil War, was the owner of Culp's Hill, which of course is just right over here behind us. And that was part of a 200-acre farm that occupied the eastern portion of the Gettysburg National Military Park. Now, what's kind of interesting about it is Culp is a very common name in Gettysburg. His great-grandfather, Christoffel Culp, came to Gettysburg in the 1780s. Culp was one of the first people to purchase a lot in the town in the 1780s and purchased land out here east of the town. At the time of the Civil War, I think in the Gettysburg census and also in the Cumberland Township census, there are almost 100 people named Culp that live in the area. And in Evergreen Cemetery over here, I think there are at least 100 stones in the older part of the cemetery with the name Culp on them. So it's a very common name. Of course, the most famous Culp associated with the battle is John Wesley Culp, who was born here in Adams County, but prior to the Civil War moved to the South, joined the Southern Army, returned with the Stonewall Brigade, was involved in the fighting east of town, and was killed in the battle. So one of the Gettysburg Culps killed in the Battle of Gettysburg. As a place, we've chosen Cemetery Hill, and we're standing on Cemetery Hill. And I want to make it clear that Cemetery Hill is the most important spot associated with the Battle of Gettysburg. On the evening of the first day, the Northern Army fell back to Cemetery Hill. They rallied here, and Cemetery Hill on the second and third day of the battle would be the anchor of their position that ran from Culp's Hill to Cemetery Hill, all the way to Big and Little Round Top. And today, because of the town's expansion and because of the beautiful trees and the National Cemetery, it doesn't quite have the same prominence. But at the time of the Civil War, the view from Cemetery Hill looking out west across the fields of Pickett's Charge and into the town of Gettysburg, you could really see that this dominated all the ground around it. And finally, I'd like to talk about casualties. So the word casualty, in a military sense, generally refers to a person in military service, a combatant or a non-combatant, who has become unavailable for duty the next day due to several circumstances, maybe death, injury, illness, missing or captured. And at the Battle of Gettysburg, in both the Northern and Southern Army, there are about 51,000 casualties. So killed, wounded, captured, or missing. Casualty does not just mean death. So over and over again, we have this problem where people have said that 50,000 men were killed in the battle, when in fact 50,000 men were killed, wounded, captured, or missing. You might notice this is very prevalent on the ghost tours when they talk about 50,000 ghosts in the town. Now, one of the casualties of the battle is right behind us, Winfield Scott Hancock, who was wounded in fighting on July 3rd, 1863. And no, his horse's hoof is not in the air to mark the fact that he was wounded. That's just one of our prevalent Gettysburg myths.